So welcome to the Man Uprising podcast. Cam Mochan, one of the co-founders with us.
Or men support men.
Or men support men.
I love it. How can I help?
Welcome.
So
how can we help?
We can help by just getting into the conversation. We don't mess around here. Man Uprising, founded, about a year and a half ago? Does that sound right?
Yeah, at least.
Year and a half ago, 2 years
Although
ago.
we've been doing the work for 55 years.
It's been a work in progress, and here we are, and Cam is one of the co-founders.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super.
A peer group pioneer, if you will.
Well, that's a good jumping off point. I met the two of you, as you know, and introducing our audience to how this formulated, because I came from the world of counseling, therapy, coaching, content, and I was looking for a container, a place, a space to really, explore what I do and share with other men. And then I met the two of you, and you brought what I call the container, the context, an amazing way to bring men together. And for me, that's really what this has been the past couple of years, is bringing my passion around the content, your passion around the context, and forming Man Uprising. So maybe you just tell us a little bit about your journey to create that context.
Yeah, so Dave just said a peer group pioneer. I'm definitely not a pioneer because I think peer groups have been around maybe since the beginning of time. A good friend of mine, Scott Davis, says, the original peer groups were Sunday school, where just different groups of congregants would, get together and share the journey. So I'm not a pioneer, but I'm an avid practitioner, if you will. And my entry into peer groups started 20 years ago through an organization called EO, or Entrepreneurs Organization, where business owners and entrepreneurs come together. Being an entrepreneur, you're typically at the top of an organization that you typically started, founded, or certainly operating. And, it's lonely because people that work for you and customers and families, think, hey, this is the person that has all the answers. They're leading the org. And, truth be told, when I was 35 and first, joined EO, I may have believed that I had all the answers. I think more likely than not, I was just delusional and faking it while I was trying to make it.
And truth be told, we can't be told what to do. So we're like, fuck it, let's just go start a business.
Yeah. So, well, that's a totally side conversation. I'm an entrepreneur because I am unemployable.
Yeah.
There's some magic that happened when I first joined EO. I got put into a room with, 7 other entrepreneurs, and quickly you learn we're not that unique. We're accomplished people, risk takers, creators, leaders for sure, but we're not that unique in that, the problems that we have are human problems. And, fast forward 20 years, I was in EO for 10 years in a forum, they call them an EO, for 10 years. And I'm still connected with those original, 6 of those original guys that I was connected with. And our group was all men. About 10 years ago, I joined another organization called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. Same format, slightly bigger companies. And the way I like to describe the difference between EO and YPO, and I hope nobody in YPO takes offense to this. Sorry, wherever the camera is. The companies in YPO are bigger because I believe the pain is greater, and therefore the superhero suits are thicker. That's an oversimplification, but it's just true. I think a lot of success is driven by pain. Dad didn't think I could, so I did. They didn't believe in me.
And would you agree? You could be great at business, but you can be a train wreck in your personal life.
Would I agree?
Yeah,
it's a correlation, probably.
I would say
it's a prerequisite.
It's super common.
Yeah.
How about this? It's very uncommon for, in the peer group world. Again, not a pioneer, just an advocate.
You're a super user.
Super user. There you go. Super user. 4 typical areas of focus that get brought up in peer groups. And you could talk about them being brought up in life. And you talk about work. That's why people typically join EO or YPO. But then you got your personal life. That's you and yourself. Your family life. That's you and your primary relationships. And then what we call community, which is you and everything that's not your work, your personal life or your family life. Very, very rarely have I experienced a person either in my own life or, a peer group mate or a forum mate that's clicking in all four areas at the same time. It's just kind of like the life journey. When work's going great, there's issues at home. When home is amazing, maybe, you're depleted on the community side. You haven't gone to church or Little League or the neighborhood event.
It's akin to your golf game.
When the putting's working, the driver's cold as ice.
That's
when
it.
the driver's working, you can't shift.
Little nod to the U.S. Open this
Yes.
weekend.
Oh my God!
So
I was
we're
watching a
recording
little
today.
bit. I was watching a little bit over lunch, and I got to be honest, I love it.
So do I.
They are just blowing up.
So do I. It's awesome. Talk about pain.
Yeah, it's pain. So, I don't think it has to be that way, but I think it is that way. If you're unintentional or unconscious about it, you have a greater likelihood of success in those four areas simultaneously if you're purposeful about it. And back to the lead, peer groups are a great way to kind of keep all four of those areas of focus, top of mind at least once a month in a meeting, and gain some support and insight and good ideas to kind of make things better.
So your passion for what you learned along the way led you to founding not one, but now two different peer group organizations. And you're also building an app that supports peer group organizations.
Yeah.
So you're all in.
I am all in.
You're a believer.
I'm a believer for sure. I'm a super user. I think that's a great way to describe it. And the reason I'm a super user is because I'm a super needer. I mean, I need it. I do have a saying, like, nobody needs peer group. Like, it's not like, hey, you're broken, you need peer group.
Yeah, you're the Hair Club for Men president of peer groups.
But everybody could benefit from it. And for a long time when I was in EO and then in YPO, the primary user in the United States, these are global organizations. So globally, they're very diverse. Lots of cultures, lots of ethnicities. But, in the United States, EO and YPO are really like wealthy white guy clubs. And they're definitely expanding and diversifying, which is fantastic. But, in the wealthy white guy club, I was like, why is this experience of peer group, exclusively for successful, business owners? In EO, YPO, there's revenue requirements and business size requirements. And really, I think the statistics are less than 3% of all companies in the United States qualify for EO, which is a significantly lower qualifying number than YPO. I think in YPO, it's less than 1%. So I'm like, what about the other 97% of entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is they need support and help probably as much, if not more, than some of these bigger companies and more successful entrepreneurs, in that they, they're less resourced. And so I think peer groups, talking about resources and how they kind of fit into the model, peer groups are, they're not coaches. Coaches are expensive. They're not counselors. Counselors are a different kind of breed of support, and those are also usually expensive. They're not mentors, which mentors are usually inexpensive, but kind of not as available. Peer groups are kind of this fourth leg to the table of entrepreneurial resources, and I think it's the best because you can get introductions to great therapists or great coaches or great mentors or great books. And so peer groups just are they're just a phenomenal tool that shouldn't be exclusively reserved for successful entrepreneurs or executives.
So I definitely want to explore the direction you've gone professionally, because I think it's important in the conversation. But let's back up to the two of you, because you've been in a peer group together for over a decade.
10 years.
Exactly.
Just celebrated last weekend.
Happy anniversary.
So I'd love to hear both your personal experience as a man, since we're focused on men, not exclusively, but primarily, what it's done for you, what it's done for your life, your journey, and all the relationships you have, and also the two of you and your journey together, because it's unique, it's special. I'd like to hear about both of those.
Why don't you go first, Dave? I've been doing a little chatting. You can catch up.
Well, my story is not as exciting as yours, so I'll just say that without peer group, I wouldn't be married, and I would definitely be bankrupt. And so with just the context from those two statements, I didn't know what I didn't know when I joined, peer group originally. And I started in one form of it in 1997 because I had, all the classic, male issues. I had dad issues, parents divorced when I was young, insecure guy trying to find my way. And that led to being unemployable, as you say, starting my own business, not having any clue what I'm doing, not only in business, but as a man in my life, as a husband, as a father. And, when you're hungry enough to find a better path, I think that's the beginning. It's like, I guess you got to admit you're an alcoholic first, right? Before you can get started on your journey. So I had to admit that I was an asshole and that I didn't know what I was doing in my life and that I needed help. And that led me to, my very first peer group organization, which, like a lot of super users, I wanted more. I was hungry for more. And so I met Cam because, I joined the leadership team. These were all volunteer roles, but I loved interfacing with other people that were in peer groups. I loved sharing the journey and the battle with other folks. And it led me to meet Cam through our original organization 11 years ago. And I liked him a lot right away, and he helped us transition to Colorado. I would also submit that if we weren't in peer group together, we probably wouldn't be friends, because I think we speak a common language that we've learned that's, I'll say it's cemented our bond. And now I can sit across from you and tell you that I love you, and I appreciate you so much. I value you so much. So that's how we met, and we're still in peer group to this day.
Amazing.
He hasn't killed me.
And you've been in another peer group for 20 years?
Yeah, so my original peer group that started in 2006 through Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, that group and lots of peer groups go through different iterations. And the original 7 quickly kind of dwindled down to 4. We mashed up with another 4. So it took 6 to 12 months for that original solid 8 to kind of form. Of those 8, 6 of us to this day have a call 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We try to do an overnight at least once a year. Since we stopped meeting monthly, maybe 10 years ago, there's been years where we've actually done quarterly offsites, but we have like lifetime bonds. Like, they talk about this thing called like the 3 a.m. club. It's like, who could you call at 3 a.m. if you were in an emergency? Who would pick up the phone? Who would get in their car and come help? There's a lot of people that I think would be like, that's an option. You can have that. I literally would say I probably have 30 people that I could make that call to. And all of them I've spent time in peer group with. And the original EO crew is still together. And it's just amazing to kind of have that life journey together. To riff a little bit on what you just said, Dave, you said something about choose a better path. You used the term better path. I love that, and I heard you say that, and I was like, oh, that's something I want to riff on, because let me be clear. I've been in peer groups for 20 years. I am so far away from having it figured out, right? Like, the 20-year investment didn't give me the answers. What it gave me is a better path.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's the best path. It's just a better path. One of my favorite sayings, and it's hanging in, the school that our kids went to, is best is good, better is best. Like, all I'm really looking to do is improve.
Yeah.
I don't know what the destination is. I know I'll never be perfect. I don't think I'll ever have all the answers figured out. I just want to be better. And in peer group, you get to share the journey with others that are on the same, they have the same desire. They want to get better, and they want to get better together. And so that's really kind of what happens when you share the journey.
I imagine that wasn't true 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even when you set out to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll say like the very first entry 20 years ago, and Dave, you might be able to riff on this. Like, when I first showed up at my first peer group meeting, it was, I'm sure the ego was in like full force, whether I knew it or not. The superhero suit was still definitely on, and it was like, oh, I'm going to show these people how amazing I am and how successful and wealthy.
Yeah.
There's some techniques in exercises that kind of are built and designed to kind of break down those walls. Because here's the deal. Go tell and sell the world how amazing you are, especially as you're an entrepreneur. Like, you're selling widgets, you're selling products, you're selling services. Like, put your superhero suit on and go be amazing and invincible in the world. Peer groups are where you leave the superhero suit at the door.
Yeah.
You come in as a just human being with all the good, bad, and ugly. And the quicker you get to being real, the more value you'll get, which is, I have a pretty interesting backstory. I have a dysfunctional, family life, and alcoholic dad, codependent mom, suicide in my family, bankruptcy, failure, addiction, like bad shit. And, I grew up in the South Shore of Boston, and, Dave knows this story, but like Good Will Hunting is really my childhood. And the first time I saw that movie, I was like, dude, that guy's a badass, and he's tough, and he's like, get out of the car, you're next, and like, I'll beat you up, and It was all fight, fight, fight. And I was like, yeah, Good Will Hunting. I've watched that movie about a lot. And it's not a fighter's movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seeker's movie. I mean, in the office where
We don't have Kleenex in here. What the fucking shit show is this?
Haven't
you met us?
where Will
That's
is
based
like,
on me.
he's sharing with Sean, the therapist, and Sean grabs him by the back of the neck, and he's like, "It's not your fault."
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that movie 10 times and didn't see that scene, but like ever since, I'm on my own journey of healing. I was like, wow, like he was seen by another fighter who had evolved. Like Sean, I think, was a South Boston kid, and he was probably like, you couldn't grow up in South Boston and not be a fighter.
You're talking about Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams, right? And but he evolved and he healed, and he had this beautiful relationship with his wife who died, and he wasn't a plaque chaser like that other professor that was that was like had won all the awards, and he was just a good dude, and he could see through Will's experience, like he's got pain and he's got trauma, and he's like, it's not your fault. So
I think that's a beautiful metaphor for what peer groups do, because we really do see each other, and that's what I've learned over
and
time.
Sean doesn't have it all figured out. He's broken too, but they're broken together.
Yeah.
Healing.
And the economic, the deal in peer groups is, I am here to be vulnerable and real because I want to help you, and in return I expect you to be vulnerable and real and allow me to help you. You're here to help me, I'm here to help you. Together we get better. And if you're showing up in an inauthentic way, I can't get to your needs and your challenges and your blocks and your
and one of our secret sauce is just so people know, is we don't tell each other what to do. We just share our own experiences and we listen, and so it's a very different, unique, simple way to really get folks to open up and to just, like you say, be open, be more vulnerable. We've been told what to do our entire lives, right, wrong, or indifferent, by people that probably maybe didn't have all the answers either.
Yeah.
And this is a place where we don't come to be told what to do. We come to be heard, and we come to learn from what others have done before us.
In my experience, that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
really,
simple
and you
too.
see new guys come in, how hard it is. And you, when you're leading, the discovery, we call them peer group experiences, you see these guys that just can't help themselves, and then they do it, and then we tap on the table, or you gently correct them. They do it again and again because it's so ingrained.
So ingrained. But man, there is a beauty to new guys, and this is why I would say, there's some pros in this room that may be able to verify or debunk this statement, but like, I'm addicted to people changing their perspective of actually like being heard, being seen, being understood for the first time, maybe. Like, when we do like the peaks and valleys exercise, where like someone shares some pretty deep stuff of, their childhood or some failures in business or failures of relationship, and like nobody looks away, and a lot of times people like lean in, and like other people are like, oh my God, people are leaning into that story, and I want to lean in. And does that mean when I share my story, they're going to lean in and they're not going to look away? And it's just amazing, Perfect.
Can I just pause really quick? And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
But 52%, the last data we just were talking about the other day, 2023 data, 52% of male suicides in the United States are between the age of 34 and 64.
Yeah.
And that's why we're building peer groups, man.
Yeah.
I mean, mic drop. That's why we're building peer groups.
We got to get Kleenex to sponsor us.
Jeez.
But it's Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say at the end of my last kind of comment is, Dave, this is, I heard you say it. I know it's probably attributable to somebody else, but like being listened to and being loved is so much the same. You can hardly tell the difference. Yeah. A lot of dudes don't get either.
Yeah.
They're not listened to. They're tuned out by their spouses, or they're tuned out by their kids, and they might even be tuned out by their employees or their coworkers, because guys are so backed up. They're like rough, and they're like, you have to do it this way. Yeah. And so like people, they're not being listened to.
Yeah.
And however they're showing up, like that's probably not even their real self. That's their, backed up, trying to survive self, like gripping, super hard. And they're certainly not being loved, or they don't feel loved. They feel isolated and alone. Sure. And there's this epidemic of loneliness. And the pandemic certainly didn't help. And just getting guys in a room intentionally with skin in the game. I mean, there's a price to pay, both time and economically, to participate. Mm-hmm. And it's like a gym membership. It's kind of like if it was free, it would be worth less.
That's right.
So, participating, it's like, hey man, I'm giving my time and money to be here. So this is real to me. This is important to me. And I expect the same from, the other people in the room. And just with a little bit of structure and a little bit of, guidance, like magic happens. And I've been doing it for 20 years and I love it.
Yeah, it's a level 5 commitment for sure. I mean, it's like, it's the thing I'm most committed to in my life. It's 4 hours a month. Typically a retreat is a best practice. At Man Uprising, we charge $100 a month, which is nominal compared to a lot of orgs that are out there. And the value that I know I get is I can't put a number on it, because it's life changing. Again, I would be divorced and bankrupt if it worked for peer groups. So it's a small price to pay for what I get out of it. The friendships, the support, the men like you that I can go to in times of crisis, which I've gone to you guys both multiple times. We want everybody to have this experience.
Something I've learned from you, Cam, and you too, Dave, but especially you, is that the structure, right, is solid, I'd say even rigid, and it makes what happens inside liberating. I would love to talk about that, because you're, obviously I'm telling you what you're building an entire business on that structure. And I just underestimated the value of it, and that rigidity is not the right word. What's the word? But that sort of responsibility to the time of the guys, it starts on time, it ends on time. That's one of the things you always say. I would love to hear more about that, because it turns off a lot of guys at first. They resist that. And yet I've seen what happens without it is it falls apart.
Yeah.
It's why their lives are falling apart. It's why they're coming to peer groups in the first place, because they lack that structure. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't like rules unless they're mine. And I don't necessarily even follow mine all the time. Like, that's a pretty common entrepreneurial mindset, and I fall into that. But the rules of peer group, there's just a structure, and it's been around for a long time. And the model that we use in Man Uprising is has been kind of innovated over time. It's a 4-hour meeting, has 15 steps. We're using a tool, PG Compass. It's a SaaS platform in a company that I actually started, Peer Group Tools. A YPO forum mate of mine and I actually founded the company about 18 months ago. And all we're doing is taking all the best practices, and instead of leaving them to chance, which they still run, EO groups, YPO groups, other peer group orgs out there. There is no digital tool that helps manage these. That's what we're building. And they run well. They run fine. There's a lot of value being created. But when you put just a little bit more of the intentionality around structure, like magic really does happen. For example, there's an update section of a meeting, and some groups do 4 minutes, some groups do 5 minutes with 2 minutes of Q&A, some groups do 7 minutes, but there's a typical chunk of time where each member is updating the group on what's happened since the last time they met. Best practice is what we call do and review. Do the update in advance of the meeting, and everybody else review everybody else's updates before you get there. So the time in the meeting is spent kind of adding color to the update, adding some emotion, allowing some question, maybe adding things that you might have forgot when you put your update in, when you did your update 2 or 3 days before the meeting. And there just wasn't a real simple way to do that. People would cobble together solutions with, PDFs or Word docs and put it into Google Drive or Dropbox. And like, that's just a simple solution that we put into PG Compass. And back to the structure, it's like the updates are where you catch up on, it's a way for you to report what's happened in your life. It's a way to like almost have a monthly journal and share your journey and updates, the highs and lows of your journey with the group and hear everybody else's. But from those updates, inevitably, people are going to have obstacles. They're going to have issues that are preventing them from having the marriage they want, or having the physical health that they want, or building the business they want, or having the career that they want. And it's pretty obvious. Like when you share, hey, I've been trying to sign that lease for like 6 months. It's like, hey man, what's in the way of you signing that lease? Like maybe we should pull that out, stick it on the issues list, and let's explore this as a group. And maybe other people in the group don't have issues with having, negotiated a lease, but negotiated a house or negotiated, another deal, or like had an obstacle in the way of like them achieving a goal. It's pretty crazy if you put 8 people that are on similar paths, entrepreneurship, running companies, being an executive, being a middle-aged guy. Like, you're going to have people that have had similar experiences, and it's just the beauty of like, hey, I had trouble signing this lease. Well, let me tell you a story about a time where I had trouble doing this thing that's not even about a lease, but it's still totally related. And like the person kind of, hey, I hired a resource. I hired an attorney. I hired a professional. I went to a different, building. Like there's answers in other people's stories of how they've overcome obstacles that like is beneficial to the person that might be stuck, but it's also beneficial to the group. And that kind of stuff doesn't happen over beers at a bar. Like peer group meetings could look like beers at a bar, but beers at a bar have no structure other than, hey, we're going to meet at this place at this time. People roll in late, they leave early. Maybe they drink, maybe they don't. Maybe, what's the topic of conversation? Maybe it's about the baseball game. It's usually not typically about life. And when you start getting deep, some guys are like, whoa, this is not my thing. And
because we also are, it's all in a confidential environment inside a peer group too.
So in a peer group, it's kind of like, hey guys, we're coming to talk about life.
Yeah.
Personal, professional, family, community, highs, the things that you wouldn't share with people, walking into a King Soopers, the lows. Highs are like, hey, I want to sell my company for a lot of money, or I want to get married, or I'm thinking about having a kid, or like highs are great things, but
I want to get a divorce, or I don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
There's everything
and then the lows are like, I'm struggling. I can't solve this problem. Maybe my marriage is failing. Maybe my business is failing. Maybe my kid is sick. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 years, and you and I have been into, I don't know if we've seen it all. We've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And like a lot is definitely divorce, death, failure, bankruptcy. And what's crazy is people don't look away, and they're like, this is what I love to kind of this is my experience of peer group. I roll in, I have a problem. I put my problem, which looks like a pile of shit, right in the middle of the table. And I get 2 things from groups when I share my pile of shit. I get validation. Yep. That looks like a pile of shit. And what are you going to do about it? And how can I help?
And I would add, and I have a pile of shit too.
Or and let me help you. Let me, you know what? That's an interesting pile of shit. Let me tell you, I had a pile of shit that looked similar to that, and this is what I did with that pile of shit. It's like, it's not, wow, why did you create that pile of shit? Man, that is a shitty pile of shit. I've never seen a pile of shit like that.
There's no judgment.
There's no judgment.
And you should do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And like, shit, get that shit out of here. Like, like, why'd you bring your shit into, into my room? And so there's no judgment. And so when there's no judgment, when you share your shit and there's no judgment, you don't feel bad or broken for having shit. Because guess what? Everybody's got shit.
Yeah.
And if you don't acknowledge you have shit, you're unlikely to resolve your shit.
Can you give some examples of where peer group has had, big impact in your life? I know we've talked about kind of some of the cursory stuff, but do you have any specific stories of because of a peer group or because of a relationship in a peer group that it really changed your path and your journey for better? I
mean, that's a loaded question because we could be here for a long time. The answer is a lot.
Pick your highest of the highs.
Well, I won't even pick a specific. I'll just say I don't want to make it trivial. Like you said, you'd be bankrupt and wouldn't be married.
Yeah.
Like, I would definitely have less success in all areas of my life without being in a peer group.
Yeah.
How about, here's a good one. This isn't even like the best one, but this is just one, this is great because it's relevant to my story and just my experience. And you were there. But I have a daughter. She had a medical issue that was pretty severe. And on the tail end of that episode, it was about 8 years ago, I literally crashed, like physically. My body and soul like crashed. I grew up in a crazy dysfunctional family. My mom was always on antidepressants. She was a depressed person. She's no longer with us. My dad is also gone. But my mom's mom committed suicide when my mom was 20, and she just never dealt with it. And so when she was depressed and on depression meds, I was like, of course she's depressed. Like her life is shitty. When a good buddy of mine happened to be a peer group mate, Jeff Sipple, an MD, said, "Hey, Cam, you're depressed and you're not going to, fake your way out of this. You need some help." He said, "You should get a therapist and go on medication." And I was like, the first thing is, there is no fucking way I'm going on medication. And I'll think about a therapist. And so what I did was, I did an exploration with a peer group. And my exploration was, hey guys, I'm totally good, but I'm thinking about maybe going to see a therapist. And does anybody have an experience share? And I'm not kidding you. If the answer was no, we don't do therapists. We're all totally good, man. We got peer group. I would have been like, oh, totally cool. I'm good too. I was expecting it. And honestly, I was nervous. But I share this. And honestly, this is I had already gone deep, but this is in my mind, in my background, going to see a therapist is admitting you're broken. I literally was like, a new therapist were over there, but I was like, I'm not looking over there because I'm not broken. So I share, hey, I'm thinking about going to see a therapist. And literally everybody in the group is like, of course we go see therapists. We use them in our marriage. We use them for our kids. And there was one guy, again, one of our favorite people, sitting lotus, which I could never do, in this beautiful white comfortable chair. And he's like, Cam, therapy is, and he's doing with this with his hands. Therapy is yummy. And that, and ever since I've probably seen a therapist on average once a week since that time. In good times, bad times, but it's like, why the hell did I have in my mind? Well, I'll tell you why. I had in my mind therapists were bad because that's where broken people go. And I was so broken, I was running away from brokenness by being like, I'm not broken. Look how successful I am. Look at my company. Look at my life. When the truth is, I was totally broken. And so that's just a beautiful experience share around yeah, Cam, we use these resources and they're amazing. And I couldn't be happier.
So
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Thanks for sharing that. It's so great.
So one of the things I've learned from you both is, I don't want to say there's an expiration date with, EO, YPO, business networking, peer groups, but feels like the men I'm meeting sort of aging out of that world or growing beyond what's offered there. I'd love to hear both of your experience on, Man Uprising as a differentiator.
So I've been around the EO YPO universe for 2 decades. And what I'll say is the best groups grow well together forever. They can work through the growing stage and the young kid stage and the mature stage. And, lots of people I know have sold their companies and done other things. And some marriages get amazing and some marriages end and some relationships with kids get better and some, evolve in different directions. And so it's not the EO YPO thing doesn't work. It's those people in the groups, are they really being pushed? Are they being challenged? Are they being supported to go beyond the walls of whatever the initial structure was? I would say my YPO forum has been around for 11 years. And literally we have, guys in my group that are on the local board. They go to other chapter events. They talk to other people and everybody's like, hey, my forum's good. It's great. But we know for sure our forum is actually really, really good. And they give me a lot of credit because I push the group to be like, I mean, I got guys in this. I know 3 self-made billionaires, literally. And so like they're doing just fine on the business front, but they stay engaged, informed, because like they want to be better husbands, they want to be better fathers, they want to be better neighbors, they want to be better humans. And so it can absolutely be done in EO YPO. As it relates specifically to Man Uprising, the reason why it's different, and in my opinion, maybe has an opportunity to be more impactful, is because entering EO and YPO, like there's a qualification to join. You have to have a company, you have to have a role and a company size to qualify. And for a lot of people, it's like a validator. It's like, I've made it, my company's big enough, and I have the right title. To qualify for Man Up, it's like, you got to be a dude who wants to get better, who's going to acknowledge that I don't have all the answers and I want to get better with other men. Mm-hmm. And so like the starting point is maybe less ego driven. And maybe even on the far side of ego, it's like, man, like my life is good, but I want it to be better. And so people are coming in almost with an interest in personal development, not professional development. Both are important, but because EO and YPO kind of start with that professional development, professional is kind of data driven. See my company, see my brand, see my results, see my fancy house, see my fancy car. It's all external. Personal development is really like, it's like, how am I with the world? How am I with my spouse, my kids, my creator, my world? And so I think Man Up might have a better starting point for less ego. And then on top of that, we're still kind of learning how it works, but like there is, you call the peer group context, mm-hmm. There's content. And a lot of the content you've developed, and you've developed through your decades of experience in guiding humans, but guiding men. But then when you share content, like even on the channel today, like I was looking for some feedback on something and guys are sharing and there's articles being shared. And it's like guys want to like, hey, yeah. I read this article. It spoke to me. I want to share it with the group. Hey, I saw this resource. It helped me. I want to share it with the group. And so Man Up has a huge opportunity in that it's not about building an enterprise, a business, a balance sheet. Mm-hmm. It really is about building healthier men. And when the world has healthier men, the world's healthier. When the world has healthier kids, the world's healthier. When the world has healthier women, the world's healthier. But let's be clear. I think men of all ages in the United States and Western civilization are floundering. And we can help each other just be better.
Well, it goes to the question you were asking on that thread, which is statistics around male loneliness. I think that's what you were asking.
Yeah, I was. Yep. So we're just working on a project with peer group tools, and it's kind of like a sales deck, and it's just like, why are we doing what we're doing? And one of my co-founders was just looking for some feedback, and he'd done some Googling and found some stuff, but he hit me. He's like, I'm sure you can. You have more better information. And my answer was, I actually don't, but I know who does. So I just reached out. And, but yeah, the statistics are, they're dark. And I mean, just literally in the last 6 months, man, like 6 months, 6 meetings. Is it 3 of your buddies? I mean,
yeah, 3 people that I knew, some better than others, but that I knew all pretty well, have killed themselves. All men, all between the ages of 48 and 57.
And just watching the news, man, it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. And it's sad. And I don't know if peer groups are the answer. I don't know if there's a single answer, but I think peer groups are a vehicle to lots of answers. Yeah. Whether it's like other guys keeping their eye on you and like, hey, Jeff Sipple, hey Cam, you're not doing well, but you need
feeling
help.
Heard, feeling loved.
Yeah.
Feeling hopeful.
And I do think it is the answer. And I say that as a therapist, a counselor, a coach, and I do this all day, every day. But something happens in a peer group that I can't offer, which is pureness. Yeah. You're not alone. I mean, I'm real and I share my shit, but there's something different about being in a community of men who are saying the same thing, different details, the same thing. I was talking to a guy the other day who's dealing with cancer, and he hasn't told any of his buddies. He's in golfing groups. He's in tennis groups. He's in poker groups. I'm like, none of them know? You're going through this alone, colon cancer? And he just couldn't share it with them. I'm like, well, what is that? That isn't a friendship. That's something else. A peer group there's just something about it that is so validating as a man.
That dovetails to what would you say the number of quality male, friendships do you have now because of peer group versus, the dudes in your life that aren't in peer group?
It's a great question, Dave. And you've probably heard me say this story, but I have never wanted for friends. I was a relatively, active, popular hockey player as a kid and through high school and college. Like I've never had a challenge with relationships, if you will. So I've had lots and lots of friends. But then at the age of 35, I joined my first peer group. And I don't know if earlier today you said we would be friends or we wouldn't be friends.
I said we wouldn't be friends if it wasn't for peer group.
We would not?
That's my hunch.
Well, we might not be because our paths may not have crossed. But I think I like you, and we do lots of things. We have similar interests. So I actually would say you and I would potentially would have been friends outside of peer group.
I'm saying because of the vocabulary and the learning that we've developed in peer group. Because I wouldn't have had that, you wouldn't have had that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is maybe we wouldn't be friends if I wasn't in a peer group and you were, because you have done something similar to me. What I say is I've never fired a friend. I've never said, hey, Joe, you and I aren't friends anymore. But I have stopped investing in friends that only want to golf, drink beer, talk about sports, stay at
locker room.
Yeah, locker room. I don't fire them. I still play men's league hockey. I play hockey with a lot of guys that just like the locker room. I love it. But I don't invest a whole lot of time there because I only have a limited amount of time. All of my social, relational energy, 98% of it is reinvested in peer group mates because they know me, they understand me. And I mean, you and I can talk about football.
Yeah, there's a depth.
We can talk about, it's not that we don't talk about silly stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
You and I just had a chat oops, I thought OKC was going to run away with the championship.
Yeah.
They didn't. So it's not like we don't talk about men's stuff.
Right.
But there's just such a depth to, we also talk about our wives, and we talk about our kids, and we talk about our parents, and we talk about our businesses.
And our wives talk about us.
Yeah. And so you and I might not be friends if I wasn't in a peer group because you wouldn't be investing in me.
Yeah.
But you do invest in me because we speak a similar language around growth and commitment. And
because our hearts have opened up to each other too, right?
Yeah.
In a way that we wouldn't have understood if we weren't in peer group.
Totally. And B, you and I are like new friends. Like we've been friends for 2 years maybe. Like I have a deeper relationship with you than I do with anybody prior to the age of 35. Like all my lifetime friendships that I've had, I have a deeper connection with you than.
Really quick, tell the story about when you sat down with your buddy from your youth after you were in a peer group. And
it's happened a bunch of
I know,
times.
but there was
It's a bunch of times, but it's like, the golf buddies and you're drinking bourbon and and you just start to hey, I have this exposure. Hey, I'm thinking about more than the next golf round or the next, whatever baseball event or, Super Bowl that we're going to go to. And I was I just asked a relatively deeper than surface level question about what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what's going on with your relationship with, your wife? And I mean, literally had the bourbon and it was actually in Las Vegas. We were on a golf trip in Las Vegas. Perfect. And which is the perfect guy avoidance place to go.
Yeah.
And he had the bourbon here and he literally looked at me. He's like, I thought we were golfing. No. What do you mean you're asking me a life question? No. And so and that wasn't a resistance to me and I don't like you, Cam. It's literally it was a total discomfort.
Yeah.
And it was probably an ego shell of dude, danger.
Yeah, we don't
this dude is asking what?
Yeah.
No.
And then you compare that to the retreat we just went on, which was a simple, rustic place. There was really nothing to do except just be present.
Yeah.
We, did plant medicine. We were there together. And it was the exact opposite of a Vegas golfing outing.
It was so deep.
Yeah.
And there really, there was definitely conversation, but it was just guys being together, experiencing something
just
pretty
present.
profound.
Just
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And working on being better. That everybody's on that. If you're in a peer group, I mean, that's the common denominator. Besides being men, in our case with Man Uprising, we're all here because something in my life doesn't feel right, and I want support and caring, and I want to share it with other men.
This comes up for me right now. It's just a story that I feel compelled to share. And again, Dave, you were there. But we were at a restaurant down by Union Station, and I still, to this day, I'm like, ooh, maybe, that guy looks like he's got it pretty well put together. Like, maybe he doesn't want to hear about peer group because, like, he's got it all figured out. Like, I don't want to assume that he doesn't have it all figured out. And I still, to this day, I'm like, there's got to be some people that don't need or wouldn't benefit from participating in a peer group. And the guy that we were sitting with, do you remember? I was like, dude, like, does everybody have problems? And like, the guy sitting at the table, he's a baller. He runs a great company, has a beautiful family. But man, he's got a lot of life. He's like, Cam, we all got shit.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, like, and it's still hard for me to think, like, everybody, really? And the truth is, I've yet to be in a peer group situation or talk to somebody at a more, deeper than surface level that isn't like, yeah, man, I got unresolved stuff with my parents or my dad, or my marriage isn't as good as it should be, or I'm like, maybe drinking a little bit too. Everyone, like, this life thing is challenging.
And I speak for the three of us, our dads were not predestined to join peer groups. It just wasn't in their DNA. They weren't raised that way. And probably our reaction to that is there's got to be a better way. Like, why the fuck do you want to keep suffering when you could go find some help?
Yeah.
And so that's how we ended up here, I think, because we came from these banged up backgrounds.
I bet our dads I bet they could have been coaxed into a peer group. It would have been maybe a different entry than ours. I don't think anybody needs it, and I don't think anybody is disqualified from it. I do think everybody could participate. It just might be a different entry. So they didn't find peer group, and the results were different than the results I want to create.
But a lot of those peer groups, though, are for when you're broken and you're going to get repaired. And one of the things I love about Man Uprising is these are good men. Of course, we're all broken, but these are good men who want to be great men, right? And it's just sort of a leveling up. I see it with every guy who walks through the doors. They just want, I guess we're finishing where we started. They want to be better.
Another really good friend of mine, we were on our way to a men's retreat. This might have been 15, 20 years ago, but I just loved it. It was on a bus heading up to a retreat. It was a co-ed retreat, men and women, and nobody knows each other. We just got off a plane in San Francisco. We're taking a bus up to this retreat center, and you're looking around, and you're like, I wonder what's wrong with him, and I wonder what's wrong with her. And this guy gets up, and he's a good-looking dude, and he just said, everybody's doing their introduction, and he said this, and I just think it's amazing. He said, I believe you don't have to be sick to want to get better. Yeah. And I just was like, hell yeah. Like,
I love it.
You don't have to be broken to be in a peer group.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you don't have to be sick to want to get better, man. And I want to get better.
It's probably a great place to wrap up. Cam Mochan, you don't disappoint. You're one of our first podcasts. I think we've done a couple others, but we didn't want to go much further without one of our co-founders and brothers. So
Love it.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Good job, man. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.